I'm going to remind you that HR do not all believe the same thing. So let's talk about whether HR like unions or not. First of all, in the UK, we have a lot of employment protections, and I've worked with unions both in the UK and outside of the UK. Outside of the UK, where the employee has less employment rights, I've seen that unions have been a lot more useful, a lot more beneficial, and that they're generally better for employees. But in the UK, I don't believe that you should have to pay to be a union to get basic employment rights. And actually, I often find that you need a union in smaller companies where they don't exist. In either my experience or anecdotally through other people that I work with, in larger organisations, unions tend to halt progress, and because they want to negotiate longer, because they're convinced that they can get better terms, and they generally can be seen to hold up a process rather than just being able to get on with it. Likewise, I've just recently reported on the HelloFresh case where a union is clearly needed because HelloFresh are doing some questionable things, reportedly and allegedly. Actually, through this channel, through people that outreach me in my comment section, I see that a lot of trade union reps get it wrong and they actually get in the way, or they are stopping people's chances at taking their employer to tribunal because they're providing the incorrect advice. So a very tricky balance, because unions can be really beneficial when you have employees that aren't good at standing up for themselves, that don't quite know their rights. And so they can be really beneficial for those employees that need extra support, because they can help take them through the process, especially when they're going through a tricky dismissal or they want to raise a grievance and they need that extra support. Any decent HR person that's taken an employee through that process, as long as the trade union rep isn't getting in the way, isn't going to have a problem. And they're actually going to be generally quite glad that that person's got extra support. But when it comes to larger collective bargaining, I have known trade unions hold up pay reviews 6 to 8 months. Whilst it may be nice to have that lump sum 6 to 8 months time, some people desperately need that increase from the get-go, from the beginning of the timeline, and that I find increasingly frustrating and exhausting. Actually, in those instances, HR don't set the budget, so there's very little that they can do, because it's generally the wider business that is setting the budget on what the increase is. So there isn't a right or wrong answer. We're all individuals. We all have our own individual experiences, opinions. Some unions are better than others. Some union reps are better than others. Some companies are better than others. So when they're getting in the way of progress, it's just frustrating and annoying. So then, yes, the answer is probably HR hate union reps. But they can really count and they can really matter. So it is just a balance.